I never answered unknown numbers after midnight, but that Friday I made one exception. It was 1:17 a.m. when my phone buzzed. The caller ID simply said unknown. I almost ignored it, but I was waiting for a call from my brother, who had been driving home through rural West Virginia. Hello. There was only heavy breathing. Then a man's voice whispered. Did you lock the back door? I frowned. Who is this? The line went dead. I laughed it off as a prank and checked my messages. Nothing from my brother. 5 minutes later, the same number called again. This time the voice sounded calmer. You really should lock it. Before I could respond, the call ended. I walked around my small rental house just to prove to myself there was nothing to worry about. Front door locked. Windows locked. Then I reached the kitchen. The back door wasn't. I stared at it for several seconds, trying to remember if I'd forgotten earlier. I locked it and shook my head. Coincidence. That's all it had to be. At exactly 1:43 a.m., my phone rang again. Good. The voice sounded almost relieved. Now don't look outside. Every horror movie I'd ever watched flashed through my mind. Of course I looked. The backyard was almost completely dark except for my motion light. Nothing. No movement. No person. Just an old wooden fence. Then the motion light turned on by itself. Still nobody. I stood there another minute before convincing myself it was probably a raccoon. When I walked back into the living room, another call came. I told you not to look. My stomach dropped. Who are you? Silence. Then. He's moving now. The line disconnected. I locked every curtain in the house and turned on every light. I even grabbed the baseball bat I kept beside my bed. Around 2:10 a.m., my brother finally texted. Still an hour away. At least that rules are terrible. I considered calling the police, but what would I tell them? Someone kept prank calling me. Instead, I muted my phone. 10 minutes later. Someone knocked. 3 slow knocks. Not loud. Almost polite. I froze. Another 3 knocks. I peeked through the peephole. Nobody. When I opened the door. Nothing. No footprints. No cars. No people. Just cold air. Then my phone vibrated in my pocket. One new voicemail. I hadn't heard it ring. The voicemail began with complete silence. Then. 3 knocks. Exactly the same rhythm I just heard at my front door. After that came a whisper. Wrong door. The message ended. I slammed the front door shut and locked it. This time I finally called 911. The dispatcher stayed on the line while officers were sent. She asked me to stay inside. About 5 minutes later she suddenly stopped talking. I heard muffled voices on her end. Then she returned. Sir, officers are arriving now. Blue lights appeared outside. Relief washed over me. Until my phone rang again. Unknown number. Against my better judgment. I answered. The same voice whispered. Those aren't the police. Every hair on my arm stood up. I looked through the window. The police SUV had no markings. Just flashing lights. Two men got out wearing dark uniforms. One of them never looked toward the house. The other stared directly into my window. Without blinking. The dispatcher suddenly yelled. "Sir! Whatever you do, don't go outside. Those are not our officers. Our units are still 12 minutes away." The fake officers slowly walked toward my front porch. One stopped beneath my bedroom window. The other knocked. 3 slow knocks. Exactly like before. I backed into my hallway while gripping the bat so tightly my hands hurt. Then my phone rang again. Bathroom. I didn't understand. Then I heard glass shatter from the back of the house. I sprinted into the bathroom and locked the door. Seconds later, footsteps echoed through my living room. Heavy boots. More than one person. Drawers opened. Cabinets slammed. Someone laughed. For nearly 15 minutes I stayed absolutely still while strangers searched every room. Eventually I heard distant police sirens. Real ones. The footsteps stopped. A back door slammed. Silence. The actual officers found signs of forced entry but never caught anyone. They searched the property and discovered fresh footprints leading into nearby woods. The fake patrol SUV was gone. Detectives later told me a group had been impersonating police during home invasions across several counties. They asked one question I couldn't answer. "Do you know anyone who would have warned you?" I told them no. The unknown number couldn't be traced. No SIM card. No registered owner. Nothing. I changed my number the next day and moved 3 months later. I never received another call. Until last week. I was sitting in my apartment in Ohio when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct. I answered. A familiar voice whispered. "You moved." A pause. Then one final sentence. "Good choice."